Right about 7:30.
Yeah, I see her lights on, like her car lights on up there in the back of your house and, yeah, it would be nice, but it's not quite so dark
Yeah,
all the
it's
time, but where does she have to drive to?
Nothing's worse than that.
Elbow Road and Davison Road. Get on the freeway, it's the second exit out.
69?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, she don't like it.
I don't like it when it's snowing. It's nice when it's
He
clear,
takes it at
but,
night, but he didn't wanna take it in the
She'll
morning
take back roads
because
most of the
it makes him
time.
drowsy.
yeah.
Just take back roads so she don't have to do the freeway, just especially
Yeah.
when there was construction. They drove her crazy.
Well, Caitlin is, she's in Chesterfield now, and she said, just come out 59 straight out, go 53 to 59, I go the back way. I go past Wolcott and Mount, I go through Uplands, and then I, cut over 32, and then I go back to North Avenue to Lake, I'm fine with going slow and
All right, 7 o'clock, let's call the meeting to order. Please rise and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Police report, they're probably busy.
I believe they are busy. I did contact them and when you were having an issue up there, and I know they were on a couple calls, so. There's a lot.
Fire report then.
Well, first thing, we had 31 runs for the month, 11 fires, 18 medicals, 2 PIs. We had smoke investigation at Oaken High, not sure what time came of that, on the 14th. And medical up in Fox Hollow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
County Commissioner, by the looks of it, Planning Commission.
Nothing,
Okay.
nothing on the agenda.
DDA. Brought up about maybe some assistance for the water meter replacement that we're gonna be doing and Dan's first meeting is running, first one
Mr. Chair.
to take charge of and try to run and keep things organized there. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot to
They went-
finalize some of the restoration on the historical building.
They want to know what the council wants from them.
Right, they want kinda a breakdown on what we'd like and funding back to kinda go along with,
Capital improvement.
our plan, our,
They want like a project list, just
Yeah.
things in the near future that we're gonna want done. So.
but sounds like that might work out in our benefit, give them a list and it'll be a little easier to, they're already figuring and putting that kinda in their budget and,
Don't know which direction to go better.
right, when I go in there squealing for money, they won't just look at me funny, it's on the list. So. Attorney report, no,
Everything I have is on the agenda.
That's what I thought. Council communications.
I have nothing.
Okay. Next, we need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye. Opposed? Public time.
So I found another discrepancy in meeting minutes, old meeting minutes as I went through. I just wanna encourage you again, Tina, to be careful as you do it. I'm passing minutes around, so you can see it. I forgot gotta sign your copy, gotta get your copy in just a
Thank you.
minute, sign. So, if you read on there, that apparently according to Tina, I showed pictures of, well, we were talking about the park and we were talking about ORVs in the park, and she said that I showed pictures of vehicles on the roadways. So where are the roadways in Metamora Community Park? There are none.
Okay.
And so that changes how people see what I said, that changes how people view it, okay? And someone who isn't from here and looks at that goes, oh, that's a park with roadways. So these are little things that matter, and also I just wanna point out, like, how many more months is pledge gonna be spelled wrong on here? I mean, I realize I'm a copy editor and I try to go easy on other people, but that's like, you pop it into Word, you see that it's spelled wrong, that type of thing.
Actually, it honestly does not even come up in my misspelled, so that's odd.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, let's be careful in the minutes. So I went through last night, made a little spreadsheet really quick of all the complaints that I've brought you about ORVs and golf carts around here. I even dropped out like trucks and cars that were parked on the sidewalk at Metamora General. I brought you more than 70 incidents of things that happened this year. Those are just things that I observed. In 2 cases, it was things that my neighbors very directly told me about. So I felt comfortable adding those in because I trust them. So that's about 70 things that just I alone saw, but that's actually not even all of them because there were a bunch more that I didn't have time to document because I was on my way somewhere. Or I didn't have time to call the police, or I just forgot the time by the time I got home. Or 2 days later, had a moment to write it down and I didn't get there. So that's just the bare minimum of what I saw. And 26 of those were golf carts out past their curfew. Because again, golf carts can only be out until 30 minutes before sunset to 30 minutes before or after sunrise. They're not allowed to be out. And I'm just going to point out again that our clerk herself, the year before, at least on 3 occasions, violated the ordinance in the same way and set that example. And again, this is one that's like super easily fixed. You start spreading the word. And then also that number, that 26, does not include all the folks that I didn't count because I couldn't get close enough to the park during the concert nights because it wasn't safe for me to do that. But there were, every single concert night, there were several in there. So then that means that to go home, they're either going down the rail trail in the dark or they're more likely out on the streets. And so that's a big problem around here. There were, how many? 17 times I brought you pictures of people parked at the General. And this is just golf carts and ORVs parked on the sidewalk, blocking the sidewalk at the General. So if I'm in a wheelchair and I'm driving by there and I see people block the sidewalk, I'm just going to drive on to another store because I'm not even going to bother going to a place where that is allowed. 8 times golf carts on the rail trail. That is a pedestrian trail, right? You call it a service drive, you call it all kinds of things. You say no authorized vehicles only 8 times. That's again just what I saw. 8 times of underage drivers on our streets. 8 times of underage drivers as young as 8 or even possibly younger on our streets. So that's a lot. And I get that you all just go, hey, no one's died yet. So we're not going to do anything about it because our constituents really just like to be able to do whatever they want. Unfortunately, here you've had a police chief who's just been content to just not enforce those laws, not even know them, not even pay attention. And I say that because I have documented him not knowing the basic golf cart laws here. We have a fire chief who has the fire department set a bad example by using their UTV in ways that are prohibited in the warning labels of the UTV. And everyone knows that he is also a sergeant at the sheriff's department. So, I mean, it's a big problem, and you just, keep ignoring it. And here we go. Oh, so the other complaint that is in here is, so last month I brought up that renters like me aren't getting information because it's being sent out in water bills and tax bills, even though there are people here who actually are big landowners who don't get water bills. And we renters are residents, right? And it was brought up, well, how would you know the names of the folks? Why do you even need to know the names of the folks? You just need to know the address and you can write current resident on it. And this isn't my job, but how many more times do I have to tell you guys very simple things? Okay? Thank you.
5 minutes is up, sorry. Unfinished business. Park restroom stays on unfinished business. Water main extension, here we go.
I checked in with the engineer on Friday, and he indicated they were working on the new updated water study of our water system and the proposed system out into the township. He said they were about 95% done. He wasn't sure they would have it done for this meeting tonight. I told him I thought it was more important that they make sure it was thorough and complete before they gave it to us, so I'm not sure we would have had time to review it anyway, so I did not receive it, so it's really no new news at this point.
New business, DDA terms.
We have two of the DDA members' terms are expiring, on December 31st. And I gave you guys all a printout.
So unless the board has a problem with renewing their term, I would entertain that as a motion.
I'll make the motion, we, retain the people that need,
Nick Holden and Dan.
yep, Nick Holden and Dan Sauve, that, we keep them on their terms.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded to renew the terms for the DDA that are gonna be expiring at the end of the month. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. One more public time.
So, Mr. Denney, I'm hoping you'll answer a couple quick questions for me. So when you, like, say, early 2021, were advising these folks, not all of them were here, but this council on the park out there and the trail and what to do out there and the ordinance, how many times did you walk through that woodland trail? How many times had you been in that park, would you say?
I don't have an exact count, so,
Like a few times, 100 times?
not 100 times,
But have you walked the woodland trail yourself?
I have some
Okay.
of it, and I don't know if I've walked all of it, but I've
Okay.
walked some of it.
So you know how narrow it is?
Yes,
And when you advise folks on things, like you're advising them on the law, you're not advising them on what's a good idea or what is ethical or even what is safe, right?
I tried to keep my job to advising them about giving legal advice, not policy advice. 'Cause
Okay.
They're the ones that are elected by the voters to make policy decisions.
Okay.
So.
But you're not qualified to give safety advice about off-road vehicles, right?
It just depends on the issue that I've been given.
Okay.
You know, if the question is, we're supposed to research what state law says about the safety requirements, then.
But that's law and safety requirements. That's not actual safety of the vehicle. That's a different thing. Those are safety engineers who do that.
I'm not a safety engineer.
Okay, thank you. And then also just to establish, you don't have any sort of credentials in like child brain injuries either.
Specifically child brain injuries?
Yeah. Or child neurology, medical, no degrees.
Special expertise. I
Okay.
have handled personal injury cases involving neurological injuries.
But you cannot personally address medical issues. Like you're not a doctor, you can't do that.
No, I'm not a
Okay.
doctor.
Thank you. I just wanted to establish that because when you talked about it way back then, I will never forget what you said when you brought that ordinance to the board and you were reading it, or to the council and you were reading it. And you said that when you got to the part about not allowing towing of people behind a vehicle, because you could take out a whole lot of people, you felt grinchy about that provision in there. And it was just kind of an offhand comment, but I'll never forget it. Because I've had very different experiences in life than many of you here. You know, I had a brother who had a mild head injury, which I witnessed myself when he was 4. He had epilepsy for 5 more years and he died of it. And he struggled very much. And so I know what kind of head injury can catastrophically affect someone's life. And I also, because of that, you know, my sister is an actual expert in these types of things. There are only 2 hospitals in the state of Michigan you want your child to go to if they have a head injury, and she's at one of those. So she's also a medical professional. So, I mean, it's just a topic we have in my family all the time. And so we see it very differently because, specifically with towing of kids, it is one of the times my little brother was in the hospital when he was young, the kid next to him, they were talking to his family about organ donation. And all that went wrong in this kid's life was that his dad had decided to tow him behind a four-wheeler on a sled. And he misjudged a curve, or it was a little icier than he thought or something. The kid's head hit a pole, and that's it, the end of that kid's life. So I know how quickly that can happen. And in regards to that park, not one area of that park is safe for towing a child. There are ways to do it. You can never call it safe, but less risky. The vegetation is too thick. You've got tracks for other vehicles. You've got sharp curves. You've got steep hills. You've got all kinds of stuff going on in that entire park. I would never, ever tow a child in there. I would do it maybe on my friend's flat field that was mowed, but never in there. And so I just think that this is something that we should all keep in mind when you're getting advice from a lawyer. If you're getting legal advice, he's not giving you advice on what is actually safe. And I just want you all to keep in mind as you go to Christmas, and I hope you all have wonderful holidays, but when I go to my holiday with my family, I'm going to be sitting there with someone who you didn't value enough. You don't value her safety around here, because you would rather have people who are able-bodied and could walk across the street, could park in other areas, and you want them parking in there because it makes them happy. But it's not just my niece, it's a whole bunch of people out there who don't even want to tell you about their disabilities, their challenges. They don't, and they shouldn't have to give up their privacy. That event, those concerts in the park should already be set up for their safety. But we got a whole lot of people here who value what they see as their right to drive their vehicles wherever they want, but that excludes other people. Thank you.
Nothing else, I'll entertain one more motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
And everybody have a very Merry Christmas.
Signed one. Thank you.
Stay safe.
Yeah.